Well, when I started painting in the 70s, in 1972, I went to prison. And it was like when I went to prison, I never grew up in missions or anywhere like that. I grew up quite free on thousands of acres. And then when I got into prison, I seen so many prisoners locked up, was full of Aboriginal people. And that was like meeting my brothers for the first time. It was quite an awakening for me. It was like going to the University of Life, if you like. It was all a learning process for me. I met people who painted in prison who done forgeries and all sorts of things like that, and it's a pretty hard job to be a forger, and you'd have to be a damn good painter. And they didn't have art classes in '72 when I went to prison. The only art teachers you got there was other prisoners. If you knew another prisoner and he was painting, he learnt from some other prisoner and from somebody else or whoever, and he gave you the tips. And I seen prisoners painting, and I thought, my God, I'm going to get into this. So there's a lot of things I want to say, and so I started painting. And some of those prison officers, they had a little bit of respect for you, because if they didn't, you could do an up the river on them and do a painting about them. I knew other white fellas in there who were painting, but in the same building and that what I was in, there wasn't an Aboriginal painter. I think I was the only one that I knew of doing that kind of art, but there were other people who did paintings, but they didn't paint like I painting, and they didn't come to a conclusion like I'd came to about my painting, and what a weapon it was that I had to get back at society. And they talk about the whole truth and nothing but the truth, and so help me God, and all this sort of stuff, and they preach quite different things. It's like judgment by his peers. When I went to trial in this fair land, and they said everyone's entitled to be judged by their peers, and your peers are your equals. I don't know what happened to my equals, because when I went on trial in 1972, it was an all-white jury. There was no Aboriginal people on that jury. So when I painted judgment by his peers, that was my little get back at society. And, they wanted the truth. Well, I give them the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and see how they handle it. And that's what judgment by his peers was about. It's like a statement and a weapon, all those sorts of things. It's an awakening for people, that when you can depict something in art, and they've got to look at it from quite a different perspective. I'd like that people would come to the realisation that everything is not honky-dory and fair and square for Aboriginal people on this land, and this is their land. They're the original owners of this great land, and it's important to have strong urban Aboriginal paintings in this society of Australia, because really it's a modern man, white man society is running this place, and they seem to put Aboriginals away to the side and forget about them. And it's not that at all. It's supposed to be a democratic land, and everyone's got right, and Aboriginal people should be heard, and we do matter, and we're not going to go away, and we haven't went away, and we're still here. And everyone deserves justice. The three invasion paintings that we have here, the invasion of Sydney, it's an invasion because when the Redcoats came here in 1788, they invaded this bloody land. They took it away from the Aboriginal people, and that's their land, and that's why I done a life sentence was over my land. White fella tried to take my land, and I wouldn't put up with it, and that's why we second and third class citizens in our own land, because of the land. I've painted these paintings because I feel as though it's important to show who really owns the land, and you can't buy the place with beads and rum and things they bought. It doesn't work that way. I suppose first of all the red would be the Redcoats, and the blue ocean, blue sky and space and stuff like that, and blue, red, and what's the other colour? White. And we know what the white stands for, and the red and the white sort of go together with the red coat, and the white man came over the seas, and my land's never been the same ever since. They took it. The masked figure, any masked figure in Australian history would represent, I would say, Ned Kelly. And you can see that Ned Kelly, he comes in all sorts of different disguises. He's got a little, looks like a Bible in his hand. He's got a list there with him of diseases, modern man's diseases, white man's diseases, which he's bringing for the natives of this fair land, because there was a lot of diseases they brought here which weren't here before. And that killed a lot of Aboriginal people. We don't hear much about, they don't teach the children in the schools of Australia how many Aboriginal people were killed off in the early days. They killed a lot of Aboriginal people. Either redcoats shot them or they gave them disease on purpose. Aboriginal people were very spiritual, and the Mimi spirits, I suppose, that they played bigger parts than what Jesus Christ plays in white man's society, you know. Mimi spirits, they would be important to Aboriginal people. It's part of their culture. And my Mimi spirits, I make them women because they're more sensitive and they become more aware of things quicker than what men do, you know. It's quite easy to know why they were crying, I guess. When the redcoat came, he came in through the heads of Sydney, you can see the boat out there, and the redcoat came ashore. He gave him a little Jesus cross, Christianity. He gave you some beads, and the beads, I suppose that was for the part of the land. If that didn't work, well, he was going to get him drunk, give him some rum. You get those natives drunk, well, you know, they don't know what they're doing then, the poor buggers. And if that doesn't work, well, we can always put the old British flag down there, Her Majesty's flag, and take over and shoot you with their guns. You know, so Invasion Day, 1788.